Welcome to my channel, Veterans Legacy. Before we begin, close your eyes for a second, take a breath, and imagine yourself boarding a plane where everything feels ordinary, until it doesn't. Today's story is emotional, cinematic, and rooted in the quiet power of the veterans who walk among us. Stay with me until the end, and if this touches your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The cabin lights of Flight 237 dimmed into a soft amber as passengers settled into their seats. The aircraft hummed with the familiar vibrations of a pre-flight systems check. People murmured about delays, luggage, the weather, small talk floating like dust motes in the golden glow. Seat 16A, a window seat, remained empty for the moment. A flight attendant glanced at her manifest and then down the aisle as an elderly man stepped into the plane. He walked slowly, almost carefully, like someone measuring each step not because he was frail, but because he had done too much rushing in his lifetime. His silver-gray hair was trimmed neatly, his back straight despite the weight of age settling into his shoulders. He held nothing but a small, worn leather bag, the kind no one makes anymore. Passengers looked up, then away again. To them, he was just another old man boarding a flight. But he had a presence, a quiet gravity, the kind you can't teach or pretend. "Good evening, sir," the flight attendant said gently. "Can I help you find your seat?" "No need," the man said with a soft smile. "I've walked tougher paths in my day." His voice was warm, deep, steady as stone against rain. She watched him move down the aisle to row 16 and slide into the window seat. Seat 16A. He secured his little bag under the seat ahead of him, his hands lingering on it like it held more than belongings, like it held memories. When the plane lifted into the night sky, the world below dissolved into clusters of lights like constellations fallen to earth. The old man leaned his head to the window, watching them with a bittersweet softness, as though he'd once flown above darker nights. Hours into the flight, turbulence shook the plane. Mild at first, then harder. People braced themselves against the seatbacks, eyes widening. The captain's voice crackled through the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're encountering unexpected military airspace activity. We've been instructed to hold our altitude. Please remain seated." Murmurs spread. "Military activity, here." The old man in 16A just watched the darkness outside. Then, a shadow swept past the window. A flash of gray metal. A shape with wings sharp as razors. An F-35 Lightning II. The fighter jet held formation beside the commercial airplane, so close the pilot's helmet visor glinted in the cabin lights. Passengers gasped. Phones whipped up. Someone cried out, "What's happening?" A second F-35 slid into position on the opposite side. The air trembled. The old man exhaled slowly through his nose, like someone greeting an old memory he wasn't sure he wanted to relive. The jet to the left rocked its wings sharply, a gesture. The flight attendant hurried down the aisle. "Sir," she whispered to him, "the captain would like to speak to you." The old man's eyebrows lifted. "Me?" "Yes," he said, "the individual in 16A. Passengers watched with confusion as the elderly man pushed himself up. The plane shook again and a man in a business suit jumped up to steady him. "You sure you're all right, sir?" he asked. "I've been through worse turbulence," the old man replied. "This is nothing but a gentle tap on the shoulder." He made his way to the cockpit, each step echoing with a hush that filled the cabin. The flight attendant opened the door, and the captain turned in his seat. "Sir," he began, his voice tense, "we've been hailed by the F-35s. They're requesting identification for a passenger using a military call sign. They said the passenger issued a signal from onboard, and they recognized it." The old man blinked. "What call sign?" The captain hesitated, then said it softly. "Iron Raven." The man closed his eyes. Passengers may not have recognized the name, but the pilots of those F-35s certainly had. "I didn't send anything," the old man whispered. A moment passed. His left hand instinctively touched the inside of his jacket, where an old military transponder tag hung on a chain. Old tech, long inactive, or so he thought. "May I?" the captain asked. The old man sighed, removed the chain, and handed it over. A small, battered tag, its edges worn smooth by time. The captain scanned it with the plane's emergency frequency monitor. A faint pulse blinked. "It activated during turbulence," the captain said. The jets want confirmation. They say the call sign belongs to a pilot presumed dead nearly 40 years ago. The old man chuckled under his breath. I suppose rumors of my death were exaggerated. The captain stared. Sir, who are you? The old man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked out the cockpit window. The two F-35s still flanked the plane, their pilots awaiting instructions. Finally, he said quietly, just an old aviator who outlived too many good men. The captain pressed the comm button. The F-35 pilot's voice crackled through the radio, filtered but steady. Commercial 237, request confirmation. We detected a legacy signal transmitting from onboard. Identify the holder of call sign Iron Raven. The old man reached for the mic. His hand trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of 4 decades. This is Iron Raven, he said finally, his voice steady and deep. Last active mission, Shadow Ridge. Last squadron, 119th Night Strike. I didn't expect to be speaking those words ever again. There was a long silence. Then the young F-35 pilot replied, with awe threading his voice. Sir, your mission reports are required study for every one of us. You're a legend. The old man swallowed. A legend. Funny thing, that word. It never felt like honor. More like a reminder. A list of names carved into granite. Names of those who'd flown beside him, but never landed. Son, the old man said softly, the real legends never came home. A pause. Then something remarkable happened. Both F-35s shifted formation, slowly, deliberately, and dipped their wings in unison. A salute. Passengers pressed against windows. Some recorded with trembling hands. Others lowered their phones, realizing some moments were meant to be felt, not captured. The salute lingered. Then the F-35 pilot's voice returned, stronger this time, but also gentler. Sir, it is the honor of my life to fly beside you. The old man closed his eyes, his throat tightening. When he finally exhaled, it sounded like a man releasing decades of ghosts into the wind. Carry the skies well, he replied. They're heavier than they look. The fighters peeled away, disappearing into the vast dark like guardians returning to their post. Back in his seat, the old man stared out the window. The night sky seemed wider somehow, like it remembered him. Like it welcomed him back. Around him, passengers whispered, glancing his way with new understanding. One woman placed her hand gently on his arm. Thank you, she said softly. He nodded, but his eyes stayed on the stars. Because tonight, he wasn't just in seat 16A. He was Iron Raven again. Somewhere far below, the earth rolled on, unaware that a quiet reunion of the past and present had unfolded thousands of feet above it. That for a moment, the old stories breathed. Again, hours later, when the plane touched down, people waited for him to stand. No one pushed ahead, no one hurried. They simply waited, giving him the kind of silence usually reserved for sacred places. As he reached the exit, the captain stood by the door. Sir, he said, it was an honor having you. The old man placed a hand on his shoulder. The honor was surviving long enough to see your generation take the skies. He walked into the terminal, his silhouette framed by the soft glow of the airport lights. And for a brief, aching, beautiful moment, he looked younger, like a pilot ready for one more mission. He paused, glanced back at the plane, and whispered something only he could hear. For the ones who didn't come home, we're still flying. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the quiet giants who walk among us every day, please like, comment, and subscribe to Veterans Legacy. Your support helps keep these stories alive, honoring the heroes who carried the sky on their shoulders so the rest of us could live under peaceful stars.